Hey, how's it going, everybody? Shaun here from Zoobox, coming at you with another daily movie review. Today we're going to be talking about The Man Who Killed Hitler, and then The Bigfoot. Intriguing title, is it not? I mean, how could you not want to check that movie out? If you'd like to check out this movie, actually, it's on Hulu right now. You can watch it there. This movie was written and directed by Robert D. Krzykowski. It stars Sam Elliott, Aidan Turner, Caitlin Fitzgerald, Ron Livingston, Sean Bridgers, Larry Miller, Eller Coltrane, and Rizwan Manji. It is here's a little log line from IMDb. A legendary American war veteran is recruited to hunt a mythical creature. So, with a title like that, what do you expect from a movie like this? You expect it to be crazy. It's gonna be wild. It's gonna be kind of a wacky, over the top experience, a big action adventure movie. Not really. It's more of a quiet character study, and it deals with this kind of the idea of getting older and whether or not your life has meant anything, even if you were a good, decent, honest man. And I think that's the character, kind of the main character that Sam Elliott plays, kind of embodies this kind of Americana, the ideal version of like the American man. He's honest, he's decent, he's a little rough around the edges, he's hardworking, he's sacrificed in his life. And his sacrifices have gone largely unknown to people. So he's never been able to even be celebrated for his accomplishments. So I'm going to have to get into a little bit of spoiler talk for this movie to even really discuss this plot at all. But I would say this. I don't think this is going to be for everybody. I think some people are going to find this kind of corny. I think it's too saccharine. It's maybe going to be a little too earnest. And that's going to rub people the wrong way. They're just not going to be able to get into it because of that, because it comes off as cheesy at times. And I think that is to do with the direction. I feel like I wish this director made this a couple movies into his filmography. I don't know if he really had the tool set to actually be able to execute on some of his ideas, but I do think the themes and the subtext and the message and the performance by Sam Elliott put it over the top for me. And that's why I would give it a soft recommend to people. If you find that title interesting and you like Sam Elliott, give it a go. But I want to talk about the story a little bit, because the story has a lot of cool themes. It has a lot of cool concepts, interesting. It has an interesting conversation with you as an audience member about, like I said, about getting older and whether or not your life experience matters, or what makes it matter. Is it only because it was important to you, or is it more about validation from people around you? So as the story goes, Sam Elliott's character, Calvin Barr, basically was in World War II. He was he's kind of a genius, like the greatest soldier that ever lived, that no one ever heard of, that no one ever knew about. He goes undercover and he kills Hitler. But what you find out is that Hitler is a construct, and that Hitler is about the ideology. It's not about a man. Like, Germany created a myth. They created a symbol. And after he killed Hitler, they just put up another guy. They just put another dude in there that looked like Hitler, and then he just continued on with what Hitler was doing, continued on the message. Like, he was a construct of the state, basically. So he never gets his due for that experience, for having done that. But he still has to kind of live with the weight of the sins of what he's done, and it's left kind of like a chip on his shoulder. And he's trying to navigate his life and all the things that he missed out on because of that. Like, he has a brother character, and they're not like distant, but there is a distance there where Calvin can't really open up to his brother in a kind of sincere way, and it's definitely affected his life and their relationship. And something that kind of tracks all the way back from the time when he leaves for the war in World War II up until the current day. And having those kind of secrets, but still having to live with the pain of having committed to things and have done things, obviously affects him. So when they come to ask him to kill Bigfoot, because just by happenstance, this is where the story kind of takes almost like a mythological fairy tale aspect. He's like the last man on Earth that is immune to this disease that Bigfoot is spreading. It's like the big one, which is very apropos for the times we live in, right? So it's like if if Bigfoot had super COVID, if it had super COVID and it was running around the countryside infecting animals and plant life and all sorts of human beings and attacking people, we would have to go in and stop it. But they don't want the public to freak out, so they create a cover story of there being like a huge wildfire, and then they send Samuel Elliott in there to hunt down the Bigfoot. And so there's also an interesting parallel about this notion of spreading something of disease and ideas. So back in the day, it was the Nazis. Today, it's a more literal interpretation of that. It's Bigfoot. It's the big fucking foot, buddy. And it's really, really compelling. I wish the direction was stronger, because I love so much about this movie. I love the performances of almost everybody in the movie. I think is really good. Larry Miller is maybe a little miscast. I don't know. That's just my opinion. He does kind of fit the tone of what the director was going for, because he wanted to have this kind of grand adventure. He wanted to do this kind of Rocketeer-ish, kind of like a more sentimental version of something like that, or of Captain America. The way that the original movie, not the original Marvel movie, the Captain America, the First Avenger, the way that kind of felt like the Rocketeer. Well, I guess it was directed by the same guy, so that makes sense. But it wants to have that kind of feeling, and I don't think he can nail it. Part of that is budget. Part of it is just, I think, I don't know what's the right word, inexperience. And that's, hey, this is just a layman criticizing this, so you got to take it for what it is there, Robert. Not coming after you. Because this movie is so strong, in my opinion, that I look forward to whatever this guy does next. He's obviously got his finger on the pulse of something that I find interesting. And the way he approached the story itself, I just found really fascinating. And it's, because there is this conversation about when is it worth doing the right thing? When is it worth making sacrifice? I think this is something that's just a universal human question, right? This is something we all deal with every day. And the movie delves into that, right? And it doesn't pull any punches with it. It shows you the kind of the bitterness that can consume you when you've lived a decent life and things still don't go your way. You're still alone. You're still sad. You missed out on all these things because of loyalty to country or to a perspective. And it's really fascinating in that respect. And a worthy conversation to have, a worthy conversation to listen to. And also, just look at this fucking poster. This thing rocks, dude. That's a fucking awesome poster. When I saw the name, I was obviously, well, that's an interesting name. And but when I saw this fucking poster, dude, this is one of the raddest posters ever. Like, I bought this movie just because of this poster. It's cool as fuck. But I think it's worth your time. And like I said, it's on Hulu. Streaming right now. I think it's worth checking out. You got 90 minutes. You like Sam Elliott? You like that mustache? Who doesn't like Sam Elliott's mustache? Sick fucking bastards. That's who. Sick people. But yeah, I think it's a very thoughtful film. It'll give you a lot to think about if you're willing to listen. Willing to hear what it is saying. It's a thoughtful movie, and I appreciate it. All right, everybody, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you'd like to know more about Zoobox, you want to keep in touch, links in the description for Facebook, Instagram, and my own personal Twitter. Also, if you would like to make a request for any of these daily videos, just give me a shout. Give me a shout. I'll be more than happy to put it on the list, I'll watch pretty much anything, as you can tell. All right, everybody, have a good day. Goodbye.